On September 23, 2025, a river in eastern Taiwan did something absolutely unthinkable. It stopped being just a river and turned into a weapon, a force of nature that literally buried an entire town in a matter of hours. We're going to break down the anatomy of this flood.
It all started with a shout of sheer disbelief from someone watching it happen in real time.
Yeah.
It's not just damage, right? The structure was basically gone, just submerged, leaving only the piers sticking out. That level of force is, well, what we're getting into today.
Absolutely. We're doing a deep dive into this catastrophic failure of the natural landslide dam, the Yangtze-Hu, in Hualien's Guangfu Township. It's a story about very volatile geology, a really fast-moving disaster sequence, and we'll look at the tough choices authorities face, the timeline, and then that incredible civilian response afterwards.
Right. And the big question, really, for you listening is this. How does a temporary lake, something formed naturally in just 2 months, unleash the power you'd expect from a huge engineered reservoir? And what does that tell us about dealing with these geologically active places?
Let's start at the beginning then.
So the seeds for this were actually sown way earlier, weren't they? With the 0403 earthquake back in 2024.
That's right. That quake really shook things up, destabilized mountainsides all over the region, made them, vulnerable.
Go, basically.
Pretty much. But the dam itself didn't actually form until July 2025. That's when Typhoon Wipa hit.
The heavy rain.
Exactly. The rain triggered this massive collapse. Tons of sediment just slumped down, blocked the Mason Creek, and boom, you have this instant natural dam.
And the scale is just mind-boggling. For something that appeared so quickly, we're talking July to September, just 2 months. And it grew to about 200 meters high, covering 140 hectares.
Yeah, and holding at its peak around 91 million cubic meters of water.
91 million. That number needs context.
It does. The 91 million cubic meters, that's roughly the capacity of the entire Nanhua Reservoir.
Wow.
So you essentially had a major reservoir suddenly appear above Guangfu, held back by, well, just loose rock and soil, not concrete.
Okay, so knowing it held that much water, let's look at the critical day, September 23rd. What were the warning signs? What did the monitoring show?
Well, they knew it was dangerous. The water level was rising. Authorities put out a yellow alert on the 21st. Then they escalated it to a red alert on the 22nd. That basically meant it was near full capacity, imminent danger.
And on the 23rd itself.
That's when it happened. Overflow started around 10 to 3 in the afternoon, 14.50, and that quickly led to part of the dam just giving way, a partial breach.
And the water came fast.
Incredibly fast. The first flood peak smashed into the Mason Creek Bridge by 15.08, just 8 minutes past 3.
And the bridge.
It held for a bit, but not long. By 15.30, so just 22 minutes later, the structure failed. Gone.
Unbelievable speed.
But that wasn't even the worst of it. About half an hour later, around 4 p.m., the second wave hit.
What was different about that one?
This was the big one. A massive surge of thick black mud and water. It just swept right into the main Guangfu town area.
Oh, yeah.
Reports said it was deep enough to almost completely swamp the first floor of houses, especially in areas like Fozu Street and Dunhao Road.
And the human cost.
Tragically, yes. As of the 24th, the official numbers were 14 dead, 32 injured, and 46 people still missing. Mostly people caught on those ground floors.
Just devastating. That speed from alert to town being flooded in one afternoon, it really shows how dangerous these natural dams are.
It absolutely does. And the reason they're so dangerous comes down to the geology, the structure itself.
Because they're not engineered, right?
Exactly. They're just piles of loose earth, rock, debris, all naturally accumulated. There's no compaction, no design spillway, nothing like that.
Okay, let's shift to the immediate aftermath.
Yeah.
What was it like on the ground for the rescuers?
The accounts are harrowing. Guangfu's streets were just buried in this thick, black, sticky mud.
Like quicksand, almost.
Some rescue personnel compared it directly to the worst scenes from the 2009 Morakot typhoon disaster, like Shaolin Village. The mud was incredibly deep in places, up to 30 centimeters, and very heavy.
Which must have made rescue efforts incredibly difficult.
Unbelievably so. It wasn't just messy, it actively slowed them down. We heard reports from search teams saying it could take 20 or 30 minutes just to walk 100 meters.
Wow.
Their feet were literally getting glued in the mud, exhausting, dangerous work when every second counts.
And amidst all that, the human stories. They're just heartbreaking.
They really are. There was one story about rescuers finding a very young child, maybe 2 or 3 years old, with his grandparents.
Where were they?
They'd managed to get up into the attic as the water rose. Rescuers eventually got them out using a life raft. A moment of hope there.
But also terrible loss.
Yes. The story of the man found alive next to his mother, who had passed away. He was pleading with rescuers to check on his sister next door, only for them to find she hadn't survived either. Those personal tragedies really underscore the severity, and they also fueled what happened next.
Which was this massive community response.
Extraordinary, almost instant. The sense of Taiwan is one family.
Yeah, the shovel supermen phenomenon went viral, didn't it?
It did. Just ordinary people seeing the news, grabbing their own shovels, buckets, cleaning gear, and just hopping on trains heading straight for Guangfu. Spontaneous action.
Amazing.
And the Taiwan Railways Administration, TRA, responded incredibly quickly, too. They immediately opened up standing room tickets on trains.
To handle the volume.
Yeah, and they added 10 extra train services over just a few days, September 27th to 29th, specifically to get all these volunteers into the disaster zone.
That initial wave was spontaneous, but then it got more organized, right? Especially with getting aid to harder-to-reach areas.
Absolutely. Specialized groups started forming convoys. One notable one was the Southern Fleet.
Tell us about them.
This was a really coordinated group, about 30 volunteers, many with backgrounds like retired Marines, so they had relevant skills.
Okay.
They brought together nearly 20 specialized off-road vehicles, proper trucks, 4x4s, and drove all the way up from southern Taiwan. Kaohsiung, Pingtung, Tainan, Chiayi.
Why was their role so crucial?
Because the main roads were damaged or clogged. Official aid distribution, while scaling up, was struggling to reach some of the more remote or isolated spots quickly.
So they filled the gaps.
Exactly. They saw the need to race against time, as they put it, getting vital supplies like drinking water, food, and especially cleaning supplies into those areas where standard vehicles couldn't go.
That coordination is key. And that leads to some important advice for listeners now, right? About the current aid situation.
Yes, absolutely. While that initial rush of generosity is fantastic, the situation on the ground evolves.